Now, Jack, a completely unrelated question. Do you like MrBeast?
No.
Jack, do you think MrBeast ruined YouTube?
Yes.
Oh, now in all honesty, Jack, why?
Because it became more about views, money, and popularity than it did about having fun.
You just don't think you had fun playing Squid Games? You don't think you had fun riding on yachts? Building wells in Africa? I don't know.
If he had fun doing those videos, they'd be longer. We'd see the fun.
Ooh.
I thought you were going to get me with that one, didn't you?
A year ago, criticizing MrBeast was basically social suicide on YouTube. If you questioned his content, his business moves, or the direction the whole platform was sliding toward, you were instantly slapped with labels like bitter, jealous, washed, or can't beat the algorithm. No debate, no gray area, no real conversation. You were either cheering from the front row or dismissed as someone who couldn't keep up with the new rules of the game, period. There was zero room for nuance back then. You either worshipped what he symbolized or you were treated like dead weight. But what's wild is how fast that whole narrative aged like milk. When you slow down and actually line up everything that's happened over the past 12 months, the awkward lie detector moment, the LLY controversy, the AI thumbnail backlash, and veteran creators quietly sounding alarms, it starts looking real clear. Those early critics weren't hating, they were warning people where this road leads. Those warnings weren't about jealousy or fear of change. They were about what gets sacrificed when scale becomes the main goal, when optimization beats originality, when numbers matter more than soul.
There's a new way to make professional-looking viral thumbnails with zero Photoshop experience. And the best part is, this new method works in every niche. Whether you do gaming, cooking, beauty, this works for all of them. From creating custom results from any channel to literally being able to put your face on a thumbnail, it literally feels like cheating. This is the home of the AI tool where you can type in any channel on all of YouTube and it will use it as inspiration for the thumbnail it's generating. So for example, let's say you're MrBeast. You would just type in MrBeast here. Now it's gonna look at all my recent videos and get inspiration from them. And for the prompt, I'm gonna type in stranded on a volcano. And there you go, we now have a thumbnail with me dangling on the side of a volcano. This is perfect for inspiration, and if you do a couple iterations with the system, this is how you can literally generate your thumbnails going forward.
Creativity takes a back seat, risk disappears, and everything starts feeling engineered instead of inspired. That shift didn't happen overnight, and people tried to call it out early, even when it wasn't popular. The lie detector clip is the perfect place to start. On the surface, it looked harmless. Jokes, laughs, light energy, nothing serious. But even inside that goofy setup, something real leaked out. The critique wasn't about money being evil or success being undeserved. It was about priorities. YouTube's center of gravity shifted from make cool stuff with your friends to optimize, maximize, dominate. And that shift changes everything. Scaling up isn't the problem. Losing the heart while doing it is. But once growth itself becomes the product, everything else starts bending out of shape. Ideas stop being ideas and turn into vehicles. Every video isn't made because it needs to exist. It's made to justify the next one. Bigger stakes, bigger reactions, bigger promises, not because the concept demands it, but because the system rewards escalation. That's the real point Jack was calling out. Loud and clear. It was never MrBeast is bad or money ruined YouTube. It was something way deeper. When growth is always the answer, creativity turns into calculus. Views become variables, emotions become tools, and content turns into a formula you just keep running harder and faster. MrBeast's response leaned heavy on effort. Years of grinding, reinvesting nonstop, doing good, inspiring people, and none of that was fake. But it also didn't actually touch the criticism, because the criticism was never about effort. It was about gravity. When one creator becomes the blueprint for success, the entire platform starts bending around that shape. Even creators who never wanted that lane suddenly feel boxed in. Every idea has to be massive. Every thumbnail has to scream at you. Every title has to promise something borderline impossible. And if you don't play that game, you're told you're not serious, not hungry, not built for this. That pressure doesn't stay at the top. It trickles down hard. Smaller creators start feeling like their quiet, personal ideas don't matter. Mid-sized creators pivot away from what made people like them just to survive. Editors and designers watch years of style get flattened into trends overnight. Everyone chases the same metrics, copies the same structures, speaks the same language. Over time, the platform starts feeling sterile, mechanical, almost lifeless. That tension was already there long before Lunchly. Lily just ripped the curtain off and made it impossible to ignore. MrBeast, Logan Paul, and KSI teaming up to build a modern alternative to Lunchables sounded like a guaranteed win on paper. Cleaner branding, polished optics, influencer muscle behind it. A Prime Mini tossed in, a Feastables bar on the side, everything perfectly engineered for attention and conversion. But the real issue was never whether Lunchly was slightly better or worse than what was already on shelves. The problem was the framing. It was pushed as better for kids, while leaning hard on influencer trust instead of clear, transparent nutrition talk. That's where the tension snapped. When trust gets used as a shortcut, people notice, especially parents and longtime viewers who grew up watching these creators without feeling sold to. That's when the tone changed. Dan TDM didn't yell, didn't rant, didn't drop a dramatic thread. He was just disappointed. A calm, simple, do better. And somehow that landed heavier than any expose ever could. Dan represents an older YouTube era, a time when creators were building communities, not empires, and selling to kids wasn't hidden behind branding language and friendly faces. When Jacksepticeye stepped in after that, it didn't feel like clout chasing or drama farming. It felt like defense, not of himself, but of an audience that never asked to be marketed to like this. That's why the backlash stuck. It wasn't just creators arguing behind the scenes. Viewers got involved, parents got involved, longtime fans felt like a line had been crossed. This wasn't about hating influencers. It was about pushing back on the idea that trust is just another asset to squeeze for profit. And just as that controversy started cooling off, the AI thumbnail situation lit the match again. It was pitched as empowerment. Auto-generated thumbnails, learning from top channels, leveling the playing field, but almost instantly, people spotted the dark side. Styles copied, faces mapped, logos used without consent, years of creative identity reduced to data sets. That didn't feel like help. That felt like extraction. It really did feel like extraction. And Jacksepticeye's reaction was blunt and immediate, because in that moment, it wasn't even about thumbnails anymore. It was about ownership, about whether creators still control their own identity on the platform, or whether everything was about to be systematized, automated, and flattened into the same safe, repeatable mold. That's where this stops being about one clip or one feature and starts becoming something much bigger. To be clear, MrBeast didn't invent the algorithm. He didn't force anyone to copy his style. But when a platform rewards one single model of success, it quietly punishes everything else. Weird ideas, slow content, niche communities, small, human moments. Those things don't scale cleanly. And when scale becomes the main measure of worth, the soul of the platform starts thinning out fast. This is where the real line gets drawn, not between creators, but between philosophies. Bigger is always better versus better doesn't always mean bigger. And that tension doesn't resolve neatly. It just sits there, uncomfortable, unresolved, and heavy. What made this whole situation so unsettling wasn't just the individual controversies. It was the pattern forming in plain sight. Every time the platform edged toward a boundary, the response wasn't reflection. It was acceleration. Bigger launches, faster pivots, louder explanations, more polish, and sure, that works short term. But it also creates distance. Distance between creators and audiences. Distance between intention and impact. Distance between what YouTube used to feel like and what it's slowly turning into. The AI thumbnail reversal is actually the cleanest example of this, and to MrBeast's credit, he did walk it back.
How's it going, guys? A week ago, I launched an AI thumbnail tool to help small creators make better thumbnails, and I thought people were going to be pretty excited about it, but I definitely missed the mark. If you open up Twitter, you know what I'm talking about. And so I read all your guys' feedback, and I've been thinking a lot about it. And so we just enacted some changes that I think you guys will find positive. And so going forward, there is no AI thumbnail tool. Anyone from now on that signs up for ViewStats Pro, there will not be the AI thumbnail tool. It just doesn't exist. We pulled it down. And on top of that, I wanted to go one step further to really show artists out there that I care. If you go on viewstats.com under our more tools section, it will say hire thumbnail artists. And if you click that, it'll take you to a page of artist portfolios where you can commission a real thumbnail artist to make you a real thumbnail. So I care more than any of you could ever imagine about the YouTube community. I mean, obviously I'm the biggest YouTuber in the world, and I don't take that responsibility lightly. And so, you know, it deeply makes me sad when I do something that, you know, people in the community are upset by. And I also want to put out there that I guarantee you, I have spent more money on thumbnail artists than any other YouTuber in the world. I've probably spent more money on thumbnail artists than the top 100 creators combined. I mean, I have a small army of thumbnail artists that work for me. I'm looking to hire more thumbnail artists. So I just want to put that out there, and I have no intention of firing my thumbnail artists or anything. Like, this is, you know, just supposed to help make them more effective and blah, blah, blah. I mean, you know what I'm saying. But regardless, it doesn't matter. The tool's down for future people that sign up for ViewStats Pro. And yeah, now it's a funnel to help artists make more money. So I'm really excited. Go check it out. Hey, go to viewstats.com and click on the Hire the Artist tab and, you know, go commission real artists, help them make more money. So take care, guys.
The tool got pulled from new signups. A directory for real thumbnail artists was pushed instead. He even emphasized how much he already spends on human designers, which in YouTube terms is almost unheard of. That was a real course correction. But reversals don't erase instincts. They just expose them. They don't hide those instincts. They reveal them. The instinct to automate. The instinct to optimize creativity. The instinct to treat style like raw data instead of personal identity. And that's not something unique to MrBeast at all. It's what naturally happens when platforms reward scale over texture, numbers over nuance, performance over personality. When everything gets filtered through metrics, even art starts feeling like a system waiting to be optimized instead of something meant to be felt. That's why Jacksepticeye's frustration never felt performative. It didn't feel like clout chasing or drama bait. It felt existential. Jack isn't anti-success. He's anti-sterility. His brand has always been messy, human, inconsistent, sometimes burnt out, sometimes brilliant. He hits record without knowing exactly where things will land, and that unpredictability, those rough edges, are exactly what don't survive in an environment obsessed with efficiency. So when he looks at thumbnail factories, product launches aimed at kids, AI systems trained on other creators' identities, and says, this is it. It doesn't sound like jealousy. It sounds like someone protecting the last layer of YouTube that still feels human. The part that hasn't been fully flattened yet. That same instinct showed up during the Lunchly fallout. Because Lunchly wasn't just a product problem. It was a trust problem. Influencers selling food to kids isn't new. But doing it under the banner of better, while leaning on brand loyalty instead of real transparency, crosses into uncomfortable territory fast. Especially when the creators involved have massive cultural influence and young, impressionable audiences. That's why Dan TDM's Do Better hit so hard. It wasn't aggressive. It wasn't loud. It was disappointed. And disappointment cuts deeper than outrage when it comes from someone people genuinely trust. Jack backing him wasn't about piling on. It was about drawing a line, saying there's a difference between monetization and responsibility. And viewers felt that instantly. That's the part people keep underestimating. Audiences aren't stupid. They know when they're being marketed to. They can feel when a message is carefully framed to dodge scrutiny. And once that trust cracks, it doesn't magically snap back, no matter how massive the brand is. That's the part creators keep underestimating. And here's the nuance people online love to ignore. None of this means MrBeast is some cartoon villain. MrBeast, the person, clearly cares. He obsesses over making the best videos possible. He studies retention like it's a science. He reinvests constantly. He funds charity projects at a scale most corporations wouldn't even touch. He doesn't just talk about impact, he measures it. That part is real. But MrBeast, the model, is something else entirely. It's a system, a gravity, a blueprint that quietly reshapes the entire platform around itself. And once that blueprint becomes the default expectation, everything else starts feeling wrong by comparison. Slow videos start looking lazy. Niche content starts feeling risky. Weird ideas feel unscalable. Even authenticity needs a pitch deck and a strategy meeting. That's not MrBeast's fault directly, but it is his shadow. And shadows matter more than people want to admit. Because YouTube didn't just copy his success, it absorbed his values, then acted shocked when copycat cash grabs, empty optimization, and soulless formats exploded everywhere. The past year didn't prove Jacksepticeye was right just because scandals happened. It proved he was right because the platform itself started showing stress fractures. A lie detector moment that felt off, a kid's product rollout that landed tone deaf, an AI tool that nearly flattened creative identity overnight. None of these exist in isolation. They're symptoms of the same mindset. When everything revolves around growth, culture becomes collateral damage. To be fair, the year also proved correction is still possible. The AI tool reversal mattered. The artist directory mattered. Even briefly listening mattered. It showed there's still a human behind the brand willing to recalibrate when the community pushes back. That part counts more than people realize. That's honestly more than can be said for most corporations operating at that size. And that's why this whole conversation was never about canceling MrBeast. It never was. This was always about not letting one format become the only language YouTube is allowed to speak. YouTube was never meant to be a product Bible. It was supposed to be messy, uneven, personal. A place where fingerprints mattered more than polish and rough edges were part of the charm. Jacksepticeye never called for MrBeast to fail. He called for the platform not to forget itself. And that's exactly why, a year later, his criticism doesn't feel bitter or jealous. It feels prophetic. Not because everything went wrong, but because enough things almost went wrong to prove the warning wasn't crazy. So understand this isn't about picking sides or standing creators. It's about recognizing that when success turns into a formula, creativity becomes fragile. When everything needs to scale, the human stuff gets squeezed out. And if YouTube wants to survive as a culture, not just a marketplace, it has to leave room for ideas that don't scale cleanly. Because sometimes the best videos aren't optimized at all. They're just human. Now drop your honest thoughts in the comments. I really do read them all. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into YouTube drama, influencer controversies, and the uncomfortable conversations nobody else wants to touch. This story isn't over. And knowing how the internet works, the next chapter is probably already loading. I'll see you in the next one.